Everybody, welcome back to the Point. Hope you're doing well on this Friday. Beautiful Friday, heading into a long weekend here in Canada, which is it Victoria Day? Might be what it is. Won't go my rant on holidays. If it is, I think it is Victoria Day, but May 2-4 weekend, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a big fan of Victoria and the whole royal family and all that stuff, so that's beside itself. But Monday's a holiday, nevertheless, and we're heading into a sports weekend with lots happening. Stanley Cup playoffs, conference finals in the NBA, PGA Championship is well underway at Oak View in Rochester, New York. So, a lot to dive into today. I also got some breaking news, which I will touch on in a little bit surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs. News coming a little bit farther, took a little bit longer than I envisioned. But I want to start today with the game last night. Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. Game 1 in Raleigh. I'm settled in. 9 o'clock start. No problem with that. I'm watching the game. Through 40 minutes, the Panthers, I thought, were by far the better team, in particular 5-on-5. And third period, Carolina dominates. They finally played the way I thought they're capable of, because I think I'd pick Carolina to win the series. And then we go to overtime. You expected something quick, something will happen. There'll be a goal. There's a power play on both sides. Nothing happens. Second overtime, I think each team had like 3 shots, nothing. Just defensive play, nothing happens. Third overtime, and at this point, to pass the third overtime, I can't go to bed because I have to finish the game because I'm stubborn. So I'm on the couch, I'm watching. Can't imagine how the players are feeling, exhausted. I set a 15-minute alarm, which I did fall asleep. Woke up 15 minutes and watched the fourth overtime, and I am preparing for a fifth overtime because the fourth one is winding down. There's not much happening. I'm like, this game could literally go on forever, and it's at 3:08 a.m. this morning, technically. And with 12 seconds remaining in the fourth overtime, Matthew Tkachuk rips home the winner. A literal walk-off because he ran off the ice. And the Florida Panthers take game 1 on the road. What a long night. The game, if you're looking for offense, if you're looking for interesting, fantastic, up and down play, this is not going to be that series. It's not going to be run and gun, high scoring chance after high scoring chance. Both these teams are methodical. Both these teams are physical to a point and don't like to give up ice. And I thought the main thing last night is that both teams played really well defensively. For whatever reason, Mark Stahl continues to use his alien arms and be able to limit scoring chances when he's on the ice. Brandon Montour's motor seemingly has no end to it. He nearly played an hour last night. He played 58 minutes. Then you go through it and you go, they're blocking shots. Teams don't give up the puck that often. Both goaltenders. Freddie Anderson was fantastic last night. Nobody's been harder on Freddie Anderson than me. Well, maybe Leaf fans, but again, who cares about them? But he was phenomenal in the game. Looking through all of it, 3 periods in nearly 4 overtimes. Florida deserved to win the game, and Florida did win the game last night. Because 5-on-5, it wasn't even close. In the third period, Carolina was great. So they played nearly 7 20-minute periods last night. I think Carolina won one of those periods, which was the third. Okay, you out-shoot them a ton, you still don't win the game. That's the argument. Well, we outplayed them, and we look so good in this particular, and somehow they outshot Florida. But again, they had more power plays. The refs were real favorable to the Canes last night, but we'll leave that for another day. But to me, it was weird because Carolina's out shooting them, and it's always, well, if you outshoot your opponent, you should win, which is an old school thinking. It's like plus minus. That's stupid logic. But Florida was the better team. They won the game. And I love Rob Brindamore, but I disagree with a few of his tactics last night. He decides to put Jordan Staal against the Barkov line. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because putting Jordan Staal playing the opposing team is about shutting down the opposing team's center. And Barkov is not the driving force of that line for the Florida Panthers. He just isn't. He's a talented player, but he's all bark, no bite. There are games where I look at his play and I say, what are you doing? How are you impacting the game? What are you doing to help your team? He doesn't win faceoffs all that often. He doesn't really enjoy physical play. He's a guy that I think Duclair and Verhaeghe prop him up. Verhaeghe and Duclair have been phenomenal. They've been their most consistent performers game in, game out, driving offense, getting pucks to the net, incredible speed, and just not taking shifts off offensively. Barkov is the third wheel. He isn't the car. He isn't the engine. They are. He's just a part of the car. He's the heated seat. Whatever you want, he's the accessory to the line. And normally that doesn't work with centermen. That's how it works with this. He is just there. He is not driving offense. He is not changing the way the opposing team plays. So that line scored 2 of the 3 goals last night. I get it. But Barkov was there. He wasn't the main force. Duclair turns the puck over. You get it to Verhaeghe. It's in the back of the net. Same thing on the other goals. Barkov scored. Okay, he shot the puck. You could argue it was a goal Freddie Anderson should have saved. It was a play where they found him. It wasn't him creating the opportunity. It wasn't him individual. It wasn't him working through a puck out of the corner. That's not going to happen. If I'm Rob Brindamore, I am putting Jordan Staal against Sam Bennett. And I'm doing that because I think you can have it's the most advantageous spot for Jordan Staal. Because yes, he's supposed to shut down the opposing team's best line. Yes, and limit their offensive chances and be fantastic in that role. But to me, stop Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett is a tyrant. He's physical. He's a pain in the ass. And everybody hates him if you don't like the Florida Panthers. But he's also a hard worker. Way more of a hard. He works way harder than Sasha Barkov. He creates things. That line creates havoc. And that Tkachuk, Bennett, Cousins line, through 60 minutes, they weren't all that good. Heard Kelly Rudy say that in the broadcast. I agree with them. They're okay. Weren't all that good. I thought they got better as the game went on. As the game people got more tired, scoring chances dried up, they seemingly got stronger. They kept getting shifts in the offensive zone. They kept creating scoring opportunities, and they were a pain to play against. And who ends up scoring the game-winning goal? No surprise here, Matthew Tkachuk. He's got that clutch gene. He's got that in him. Who finds the puck out of the corner that sets up Matthew Tkachuk? Oh, wait, Sam Bennett. Now, in fourth overtime, it's going to be tough to get every player you want on the ice. I get it. You didn't lose the game because of that. But I think that's a tactical mistake because it limits what you're doing. Kotkaniemi is playing really well. He's playing better than he ever has as a pro. I think he looks more confident. He's shooting the puck. I like a lot about what Jesperi Kotkaniemi is doing. However, you're playing against Florida's best line. And I want, as a team like Carolina, your team is structured. No player is more important than anybody else. And they can sell that. Aho is their best offensive player. He was phenomenal last night, just couldn't score. But I want my guy, Jordan Staal, the Moose, the heavy player, to go against Sam Bennett. Go wear him down. Force him to take a penalty. Make him make a decision. That's what I want from him, is a decision. Not just the simplistic, I can do whatever I want, I can go in the corner, come up with a puck. That's easy stuff. Something needs to change there. Brendan Moore's a smart coach. I get it. But why put Kotkaniemi, where you want him to score goals, you want him to be creative, in a spot where he has to worry about being on the ice against Bennett, the Warrior, Tkachuk, who is Florida's best offensive player, best player. That isn't the right spot for him. Jordan Staal, he knows. I'm not trying. He's not even trying to score goals. He's not trying to dictate the game. He's just trying to stop the opposing team. I don't want you to score, period. That's my goal of tonight. If we're on the ice for a goal, great, but I don't care if we are. We have 3 other lines that we feel can score, or a back end that scores a shit ton of goals itself, or a power play. That's why we traded for Brent Burns, and that's why we're more dangerous than we were last year. The Carolina Hurricanes lost Game 7 second round last year. They lost because they didn't have a power play. They lost because they didn't have creativity, and they scored 1 power play goal in 14 games in the postseason. This season, their power play is quite good. They scored 2 power play goals last night. They have so many options. Jarvis, Aho, Brent Burns. You add Teravainen into that mix. You have so many different guys that can dictate the game. So that would be my change. Keep your defensive pairings the same. Do what you have, but I don't like Jordan Staal against Barkov because they'll take that. Okay, shut down the center. He's not the engine. He is not the car. He is not the difference maker. He is not scaring the opposing team. He just isn't. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. But he plays a lot like 34 in Toronto, and I hate the way these big guys play that have no fucking toughness and don't want to go into a corner. That line is great for Florida, the Duclair, Barkov, Carter-Verhaeghe line, because you have the shot threat for Hagee. He's got a phenomenal shot. You have the speed threat in Duclair because he can burn anybody. And you have Sasha Barkov, who plays... The biggest compliment I can give him is he plays harder. He plays smarter, not harder. Probably said that wrong. But he does the minimal effort to get the job done. And I think Paul Maurice will get on his case occasionally because that's not Paul Maurice. Tkachuk, Bennett, Cousins, these guys are all same cloth. Cousins barely is still in the league. Bennett is hard-nosed, at combine couldn't do a pull-up, and now he's in this role, succeeding. Tkachuk, he's second-generation family, but he got into the league because he worked hard, because he's willing to sacrifice, to put in the effort, to score goals the dirty way. Does he have all that skill and everything else on top of it? Yeah. But it's not what got him to this point. So that would be my decision for Rob Brendan Morris. I hate Staal Barkov. I just think it's stupid. Defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. It made sense in the first 2 rounds. Jordan Staal against Jack Hughes. Yep. He's their number 1 center. Yes. Islanders. Bo Horvat. Sure. Or no, it was Barzal. Might have been. No, Barzal's on the wing. You're shutting down the opposing team's best center. Understand it. The thing here is, Florida's an interesting team because Barkov on paper is their best center, but he isn't. He isn't because he's not the driver. He's not the most important piece on his own line. Duclair and Verhaeghe are more important on that particular line. Go against Bennett. Piss him off. Force him to take a penalty. Then you go to your power play, which is his strength. Score some power play goals and make decisions. The game is tomorrow. It ended at 3 a.m. this morning. I don't know what they do in net. Dude, it's easy to say, well, we'll just go back to the same goalies. Well, they played a whole extra game. I think both guys will. I think Freddie and Bob will go again, but I would think long and hard about going with Alex Lyon versus Antti Ranta. Just to have a rest day in there, to have both guys prepared for Game 3 back in Sunrise, might be worth it. You saw the end of that game, everybody was just completely exhausted. Bobrovsky fell to the ground. Kachuk's running off the ice. They had nothing left. But for Carolina, they played that third period like they normally play. They're all over you. They limit your time and space. And they swarm. They didn't do that through 40 minutes. I don't think they did it enough in the overtime periods. I also think going that deep in the game hurts Carolina because they're an older team. Brent Burns is 38. Jordan Staal is 36. Martinook's late 30s. Derek Stepan, late 30s. So you have some older players that are going to wear out a little bit. Brandon Montour is spry, flying over the place. But I expect both teams are going to be exhausted tomorrow night. There won't be much left in the tank. But they have to play a game nonetheless. I think there's going to be a cat and mouse series. Aho had about 6 really good scoring chances last night. He didn't score on any of them. Had an open net. He missed that. Had a real good look in close, the third or fourth overtime. He missed that. He was snake bit last night. Kachuk got off the schneid. Hadn't scored a goal since Game 6 of the first round. Buried one last night. It's funny how Carolina last night scored 2 goals on the power play. I mentioned they had 1 power play goal in 14 games of last year's playoffs. Now they need to find it 5-on-5. They need to find a way to score goals 5-on-5 and be effective that way. Because their last 3 goals, all in the power play. Jesper Fast, OT winner to close out the series against New Jersey, and the 2 goals last night. If you can't score 5-on-5 against the opposition in the postseason, you aren't going to win. Ask the Oilers, ask the Maple Leafs. They're golfing, cleaning out lockers because they didn't figure out how to do it. Game 2 is Saturday. Game 1 tonight, Stars Golden Knights in Vegas. Peter DeBoer was the coach of the Golden Knights last year, hired in Dallas. Revenge series for him. These two met in the bubble in 2020. That series was won by Dallas. I like the Golden Knights in this series. I like their depth a little bit more. I like their defense a hell of a lot more. I just look at Heiskanen. He has to do so much for Dallas in order for them to win. He plays 30-plus minutes a night. It's really not that sustainable. They have some guys that are kind of liabilities on the back end for Dallas to make it difficult. If Dallas is going to win this series, Joe Pavelski scored 8 goals in the second round. That's not going to happen again. Rupe Hintz has been a force. Jason Robertson has 2 goals in 13 playoff games. Not good enough. Not good enough, and you should feel fortunate that you're in a conference final with how lackluster you've been playing. You should feel fortunate you have teammates that have bailed your ass out, quite frankly. So for Robertson, he has to play like the superstar that he is. He needs to go out there, be willing to go into the corners, be willing to do more than just be effective on the power play. Go figure. Games are won in the trenches. Games are won 5-on-5. But I look at it, Marchment's banged up. That's clear. I don't know how effective he's going to be in the series. Heiskanen's going to play a ton. You got that top line. Sagan and Ben, they're both at the tail end of their careers. I'm sure they both want that Stanley Cup so desperately. What they can give, I think it'll be limited. I just look at Vegas. Their back end is so strong. It doesn't matter who's in net. Eichel, Marchessault, Riley Smith, they're all clicking right now. They're playing really good hockey, and I think they really enjoy playing with one another. I got Vegas in 6. I picked Carolina before Game 1. I do think losing that quad overtime game last night hurts them because they're the older team, and now Florida has taken home ice advantage away from them. I'm going to stick. I say Carolina in 6. I'm going to stick with that, but I don't feel as good about it after the game last night. I know people don't like Radko Gudas, Leaf fans in particular, after watching him play. He's playing really well. He's playing really well for the Florida Panthers. It's quite staggering. I never thought he'd be this good in a postseason with the game getting faster. He's been awesome. He might throw a hit you don't like, and he might do this. Okay, fine. He throws a cross check, and Craig Simpson can lament it on the broadcast. Wah, wah, wah. He's playing really high-level hockey, and he should be applauded for it. He makes up for a lot of mistakes, in my opinion. He's not a liability when he's on the ice. So credit to him. Domi's been really good through 2 rounds for Dallas. Roope Hintz has been a superstar. So Roope Hintz has 19 points through 2 rounds. It's hard to keep that going. It's hard to, but he's proven as a power forward. There's not many better in the NHL than him when he's in the playoffs. I think Dadonov's been really solid. Domi's been very good. Wyatt Johnson, who's a kid, has been just as good as he was in the regular season, which is awesome. But to me, the biggest turning point in this is Jason Robertson. What are you going to give? What are you willing to give? That's the question. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to put on the line in order to win? Because we all know he's a good player. That's obvious. Had a great regular season, but regular season's over. You willing to go in there and have a series, have a moment? Because I don't think they win unless he has a really, truly phenomenal series. Because I just think Dallas is not as deep as Vegas. And Vegas will outwork you. And they defend as good or better than any team in the National Hockey League, including Carolina. Bruce Cassidy defended well. His team's defended well in Boston. It's continued in Vegas. Eichel's been really good. So Jason Robertson's the player to watch for me in this series. News of the day in the National Hockey League. Kyle Dubas will not return as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's out. I just got another new piece of news, but I'll save that and write that down. It's relevant. So he's out as the general manager. I thought it'd be a hell of a lot quicker than this, but I'm interested, and I'm curious why it took till Friday. And maybe I'm reading more into this than than there is. But this is what I'm thinking. I believe the Toronto Maple Leafs, Brendan Shanahan, Larry Tannenbaum, and co. went and had a chat with Kyle after Monday, the press conference, everything, and I believe they wanted Kyle to come back. And maybe they just didn't agree on terms. That's my thinking, because I don't know why it takes till Friday to make this announcement. Brandon Shanahan's going to speak with the media in a couple of hours. Why is it Friday? Why not Wednesday, right quickly? I guess there's no real rush, but there kind of is. There is, because you need a GM to sign people. You need a GM to draft people. And Kyle Dubas is not the man to make those decisions. So if it's not going to be Kyle, who's it going to be, and why did it take so long? It's just my read. I believe they wanted to bring him back, and they tried to work on terms, and clearly they couldn't come to him. And you could say, well, Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, write blank checks, and you can put whatever you want. It doesn't always work that way. Maybe it wasn't about money. Maybe it was about term. How many years did he want? How much was he not willing to trade a superstar? As I mentioned the other day, what was going to happen? This is a statement. I'd like to thank Kyle for his unwavering dedication with these last 9 seasons with the organization, including his last 5 as general manager, Shanahan said. Kyle fostered a great culture within our dressing room and staff and consistently pushed to make our team better, blah, 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 blah. So nothing. He will speak later today. I don't know. No news on Sheldon Keefe as of yet. He has 1 year left on his deal, so maybe he'll be back. But he'll be dead man walking. So bring in a new GM unless it's Brandon Pridham. They normally like to hire their own people. Kyle worked under Lou. He worked for the Marlies. And spent 9 years with the organization. Primarily, I think he did a good job. He drafted good talent. Kept big names in Toronto, and they competed. But he did a good job and not a great job, and that's the difference. You're in a big hockey market, and despite the fact that this big hockey market has had little to no success, that's a moot point. You expect it to change. You expect this team to get over the hump, and winning a round is not success. Just isn't. Maybe to, the fan who tunes in come playoff time, you see them win around, you get into it. Oh, what a great year. If you were with this team from October to May, winning a round is not good enough. Because despite what Giannis Antetokounmpo said, we are not playing just to try to improve every year. We are playing to win. We are playing to win a championship. And I think he made some mistakes. The fact that Austin Matthews is going to be a UFA January 1st, 2024, mistake. That contract, mistake. Letting William Nylander hold out and then signing him at the 11th hour for the money he wanted, mistake in my opinion. Giving Mitch Marner whatever he wanted, again, 6-year deal, not 8-year deal. After seeing Draisaitl and McDavid sign big extensions, mistake. You could really boil it down to he's not coming back because he could put all his faith in the best players, and they didn't deliver. The Ryan O'Reilly trade, good deal. Getting a first-round pick for Rasmus Sandin, good trade, good for the GM coming in. All the moves around the edges were primarily successful. He did a good job at it. But when you have If you got all the nice things in your house, you got, get a Muhammad Ali painting, you got granite countertops, you got a Louis Vuitton rug. I don't know. I don't put together homes, but I know the brand names. You got all these brand name stuff in your home, and they're all beautiful, and people come and they want to see your house and they love it, and they're kissing your ass because they love all your new stuff. The house can look great. If your foundation sucks and your roof isn't built right, guess what? It's going to fucking cave in, and then all your nice stuff, it doesn't matter. The Leafs foundation hasn't been strong enough. Elite talent that hasn't been able to produce for whatever reason. That doesn't mean that they can't produce elsewhere. That doesn't mean they won't go on to win a championship elsewhere. But to me, going back every year to that same well, it's not going to work. And the thing is, when you make these type of decisions, you got to decide, who are we replacing? Who is going to replace Kyle Dubas? I don't know. Because GM's a tough fucking job. It's a tough job. You got to make a lot of big decisions. You got a draft coming up. You got to re-sign Matthews. What do you do? Mitch Marner, no move July 1st. Brandon Pridham's been with Kyle from day one. He's done the numbers. He's done all of it. You're bringing another Kyle? Switch one nerd for another? It doesn't really seem like a move that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Keep the nerd that you know. You got a scientific calculator. You got another scientific calculator. Why don't you just keep the one you got? I don't. Is there going to be a big shift? I don't know. And if you are bringing in somebody else and you're going to do a whole round of interviews, I would have started this week. Because guess what? It's May 19th. The draft is something like the 26th. Free agency's July 1. Comes quick. And this new person has to come into the job, look at the contract, figure what he wants to do, put a trade together. My God, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work in a short period of time. Then talk to Matthews' agent. Start having those conversations. Start having a conversation with Matthews' agent, and you might not have a relationship with him. Austin won't have a relationship with his new GM. Does he want to stick around? Says he does. The prevailing thought is, of course he wants to stay in Toronto. Okay. That's a fan point of view. You love Toronto because you love the team. Doesn't mean everybody wants to stay there. I'm from New Brunswick. I don't want to live in New Brunswick the rest of my life. Okay. Am I turning my back on the province? Okay, cool. I don't care. If you were living in Alaska and you're freezing your ass off and you move, are you a turncoat? Okay, I'm a turncoat. Yeah, okay, I turned my back on this. I don't care. Fuck, if I was living in Alaska, freezing my ass off, I'd go the Watergate route, whatever I had to do. I'd lie, cheat, steal, get the hell out of Eddie Guerrero. Get the hell out of there. Well, I've been there forever. I can't leave. What logic is this for anybody in any sort of business? I got to show loyalty to my employer. I got to show loyalty to this and that. That whole premise is stupid to me, because employers are only loyal to you as much as it benefits them. They will gut you like a fucking fish if they don't think that you can help them anymore. Well, I can't leave the fans. Who cares about the fans? The fans are going to love the team. They don't love you. The second you leave the colors, they can't stand you. Austin Matthews is going to do what's best for his life. And he thinks what's best for his life is to stay in Toronto, stay there. If he thinks he can do more, maybe get into Hollywood, find more opportunities in Los Angeles or wherever, he'll go there. That's simple to me. But if the prevailing thought is he's going to stay because that's what you do, I'll never understand that logic in life. You can be loyal to people. I love my friends. I love my family. I won't turn my back on them, but that doesn't mean I have to be in the same area code. You can have a great relationship with Mitch. Doesn't mean you're on the same team as him. Still be friends and go elsewhere. Phil Kessel and Dion Phaneuf were friends. Dion went to Ottawa. Phil went to Pittsburgh. They played against each other in the conference finals. Phil won. They're still buds. Using a former Maple Leaf example. Shit happens. Organizations, you owe nothing to anybody. People have different motivations. People might want my best situation for children, or I want this. I don't know what Austin's motivations are. I know for me, money, weather. If you can combine the two, I'm in. He might look at Hollywood, he might look at fashion, he might look at UFC venues, I don't know. Closer to Vegas, he can go watch the John Jones fight. But if the prevailing thought on anybody in pro sports, in particular now with the generation of players, and most of these guys are similar age to me. I'm 23, 24. Killed to be 23. I'm 24. If most people my age, it's not about I got to be loyal to this person. That doesn't even come into our thought process. That was back in the day. Well, or if you work for this person, or if you work for your parents, you can't leave that business. That, to me, that's an old way of thinking. That's not the way the modern athlete, that's not the way the modern human being are thinking. Not everybody's like me because I'm a weird dude, but I think a lot of it is just what's the best situation for me? It's a selfish decision. More than before, you stayed because, they gave you good money. And, Brett Favre played in Green Bay forever, and then Green Bay said, get out. Right? Or Dan Marino was a Dolphin his whole career. And living in Miami is great. I don't blame him 1 second. But you look around and you see these guys. Like Joe Burrow might be a Cincinnati Bengals his whole life, but maybe he won't be. Maybe he won't be. There's sports where you get more freedom. In the NFL, there's fifth-year options, and there's a franchise tag, and there's this, that, and the other. Can you find your way out of a situation and go somewhere else? In the NBA, player movement. I want out of here. I want out of this place. I don't like here anymore. Can I go somewhere else? James Harden might leave the Philadelphia 76ers. Is it because Houston's a better basketball location for him to win? No. Now you could say that's stupid of him. That's fine. That's probably a good take, probably a correct opinion. But he might want to go to Houston because it's got better strip clubs. He's got a jersey hung up at one of them in Houston. And, I don't know, better nightlife, better place to be. Gambling, this, that, other than Philadelphia. Probably true. And better weather. I'm not James Harden, but I'm just putting pieces together. Kevin Durant. I only want to go to Phoenix. Wow. I only want to go to Phoenix. Why Phoenix? Well, Phoenix, 100 degrees all the time, dry heat, nice weather. I don't know. Get me out of Brooklyn. Played in the Bay Area. Play's been around warmth this whole life since coming into the NBA. That stuff happens. This thing of, well, you have to stay because you have to show loyalty, it's stupid. I think it's archaic thinking. And it's difficult for GMs, but I think it's going to happen in pro sports where coaches, general managers, if you're successful, you can weaponize your position. Barry Trotz did it in Washington. He won a Stanley Cup. They didn't offer him a contract his last year. He was in Kyle Dubas' situation, but he's head coach. And they didn't offer him a contract. He goes and wins a Stanley Cup. Ovi breaks through. The Caps win the Cup. Well, you got to bring Barry back, do you? You might have to bring Barry back, Washington, optically. But does Barry have to come back? You didn't show me any loyalty. You didn't show me any respect. Why don't I go to Long Island? Because I think that might be better for me. I'll make more money. I'll do this, that, and the other. He made a decision for him. He didn't make a decision, well, I just want a cup here. I have to stay. Mike Keenan in 1994 was coaching for the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup 2 days later. Right after the parade, he announced he's leaving for Detroit. How much loyalty was there? Not a whole lot. You just left the group that won a Stanley Cup to go to Detroit, a rival. So there's a whole lot to this. Dubas is out as GM. Does the new GM affect negotiations with Matthews? Here's why I say no. Because relationships can live on. Relationships only get you so far. You love your family, you love the people, your close friends, but you can always go see them. You can always be in close contact. You can always send them a text, FaceTime. In their new world, you can do it AI. You'll be able to see them. Whether it's Kyle Dubas negotiating with Austin Matthews or whether it's GM to be named later, I don't think it makes a difference because Austin is going to do what Austin wants to do. Matthew Tkachuk said, I don't want to be in Calgary anymore. I'm not signing an extension. He was honest and he gave them time. He did what was best for him and he gave Calgary the best opportunity to do what was best for the organization. That is business personified. That's a great businessman. He wanted out. He wanted a better situation. He didn't want to live in Canada anymore. Whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. He said, I want to go somewhere else. And he had a list of teams he'd be willing to go to, sign and trade. You can get the most for me. Who says Austin doesn't do the same thing? Because he's just sick of Toronto. There are other markets, there are other things, and you only live once. YOLO, as the kids used to say. So if you can, in all your 20s and all your 30s, do you really want to live in one location? Do you only really want to experience one city primarily? Other than when you're on the road, you're in and out in a day? Or do you want to go somewhere else? Bounce around, see the world, see different cities. It's an option. Because it's great to say I only played for one team my whole career. Sidney Crosby, he might only be a Penguin. People say I only want to see him wear the Penguin uniform. Okay, that's great. There's sentimental value there. But what is that worth? So would you rather stay in one location and not win another Stanley Cup or move and have a chance to win another one? Doesn't make much sense then to just stay where you were, does it? Kind of defeats the purpose. It makes you say, well, why wouldn't I move? Oh, because I don't want my perception to be like I bounced around. Who cares? You're one of the best players ever. Wayne Gretzky played St. Louis, he played New York, he played for LA, he played for Edmonton. Do we think of him any less? For bouncing around, for being traded, for playing for different teams? Mark Messier left the Oilers. Cini, Warsaw. He wanted to experience New York City. He wanted to experience the Mecca. He wanted to win a Stanley Cup with the New York Rangers. I think it helped his career. I think it helped him personality-wise. I think it helped him get a job at ESPN. Because for better or for worse, winning a title in New York has more cachet than winning 3 in Edmonton. Just overall. And that can sound harsh. That can sound like I'm being pro-American. It's not. I'm just being pro-logic. I like having these conversations with myself, but also with all of you, because I think it's about life. Talking about life as in a bigger concept. If you can only live one life, and you're living your life to appease other people, I don't understand that. That's not just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't compute in my brain. You love the people you're with, but that doesn't mean you have to do everything they say. You were drafted by this team, you have to show them love, you have to stick around. Why? They drafted you because you were worth the draft pick. You were first overall. You're the best talent in that draft year. They'd be idiots not to take you. So it's not a privilege that they drafted you. They drafted you because you were a talent, and they wanted their team to improve. But once you were in the league, once you were in the society, and you can have some control of your own fate, I'd like that option. I'd like to see what's out there. Currently, there are 32 cities in the NHL. You only want to play for one your whole career? Is Jaromir Jagr not a legend? He played everywhere. And do you think people are looking at him, putting him down? If they are, tell him to fuck off from me. He's looked at and he's seen as less than, not as good. Oh, he played for a bunch. He's not that good. He played for a bunch of different teams. He bounced around to a tail end of his career. Okay. He wasn't good in New York. Wasn't good in Pittsburgh. Didn't do. He's from the Czech Republic. He saw the whole version of the United States. He played in Boston. He played in New York. He played in Pittsburgh. He did everything you'd want in a career. Played in the Sunshine State. Played in Dallas. Okay. From the Czech Republic, he saw the whole U.S. He lived everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. That's a bad thing? That's a negative that he saw everything and took it all in? I don't think so. I don't think so, but I could be wrong, but I don't think I am here. And for Kyle to say, I'm not going to get a job tomorrow, why not? If Penguins offer you a job tomorrow, you're not taking it? I think you would. You're never going to work again. You're just loyal to Toronto if they didn't want to bring you back. He's going to work in the NHL again. He's going to have another opportunity to do the job. That's what happens. I think optically, people look at him and said he had a pretty good stint in Toronto. First time GM, he had some success. Didn't do everything right, but maybe you learn from it and you'll be better second time. But this is where, to me, Kyle Dubas gets to weaponize what he did. Because I think around the league, most people think he's a pretty smart, pretty good GM. And I think that's a fair opinion. Didn't do everything right, but he'll have the opportunity to find a good job. He might not take one this cycle. But Kyle Dubas is not going to be looked at as the next GM of a team because he was the GM in Toronto. You get a job, you lose a job, you don't get another one, you get another one based off your body of work, not based on the brand that hired you. If you watch the movie Air, they sign Michael Jordan. They get Michael Jordan. They pitch his mother. It's great. Good movie. Watched it the other night, by the way. Very good. But did Sonny Vaccaro get the job at Adidas because he was a former Nike executive. No, he got the job because he got Michael Jordan to come to Nike, a brand that was nothing at the time. Adidas hired him because he was good at his job, not because of the brand he used to work for. I truly believe that. He tried to land LeBron James, he tried to land other people to come to Adidas. And that's the cycle. Kyle Dubas now is an independent contractor and he can go wherever he likes. And maybe you want to take some time off with his family, which all the power to him, do it. But to me, that's the bigger conversation is I don't think any player, and if it works, then I'm not saying you have to bounce around. Stay if you want to stay. But I don't enjoy this thought of I'm in the loyalty business. I don't like the loyalty business or I have to stay business. No dress rehearsal. This is my life. Your life. Your decisions. And if they're going to pay a ton of money, they're going to give you good perks and you think you have a chance to win, go. If you get an opportunity and you really like the city, you want to try and you're going to work for a big company, take it. But if you say, well, another company's offering more money, better location, better options for my family, but I have to stay here because I have to show loyalty to the first company that gave me a job, that's where I part seas with you. That's where I don't get it and I'll never get it. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, though. But nevertheless, we move on. Kyle Dubas is not the GM. Who will the new GM be? I don't know. Brandon Pridham, Jason Botterill, Brad Treliving, Mark Bergevin, somebody we haven't even heard of. Lots of decisions to be made for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brandon Shanahan will chat later. Maybe he'll have more insights to what they plan on doing moving forward. But do I think Kyle Dubas was the biggest problem in Toronto? No, I don't. Been very clear. I think the players are the biggest problem, and it'll be on the new GM to rework the roster and build a better team. I think that starts getting rid of one of the big guys. And if Austin's a businessman and he says to the new GM, I don't want to come back, and he pulls him out to Kachuk, then you trade him. Very simple. You trade him this summer and you get a boatload back. If he's willing to sign an extension for a reasonable number for 8 years, then you bring him back and you trade Mitch Marner. That is the approach. And I'll put it to you this way. If Austin Matthews says, I'm going to sign an extension with you July 1, but if I see my buddy Mitch is traded before July 1, I might not sign it, then you trade Austin before because he never was worth the squeeze. Because you don't let the inmates run the asylum. At the end of the day, you can make your own decisions, but you got to work for somebody. And if they got rules and they're not crazy and you know that going in, then you follow them. But I'm not letting a player who hasn't done anything in the league to earn that kind of power tell me that I can't trade a star player. Because he'll be gone. And maybe I'll keep his buddy or I'll trade his buddy. Who knows? They could both be gone. Okay, there's that conversation. Other hockey news today. This is interesting. So we talked the other day about Arizona. No deal for the new arena, shot down by the public in Tempe. It doesn't look good. Then the Arizona Coyotes' stupid Twitter account last night posted, "Where do you want our team to play moving forward in Arizona?" Complete backlash. People irate about it, and it makes them look even more stupid that their Twitter account is as mismanaged as their hockey team. So then they're still looking, say they're playing, Bill Daly said they're playing at Mullet Arena next year no matter what. No panic about that yet. Who knows what happens with them moving forward, but they're playing at Mullet Arena next year. They will be the Arizona Coyotes. But one of the things the Arizona Coyotes look forward to the most, I believe, is that former third overall pick last season by the Arizona Coyotes, Logan Cooley, was eligible to leave college and come play in the NHL. He was a Hobey Baker finalist alongside Matthew Nyes and the winner Adam Fantilli, one of the best players at the World Junior Hockey Championships, but he had not signed yet. He'd been available to sign for a long time, and nothing was coming out. And I started to believe Logan Cooley is looking at this situation. He's looking at Arizona, no arena, who knows where this team's going, no, they're not trying to win, and he might want to stay in college, and it's official. Minnesota men's hockey, Hobey Baker finalist Logan Cooley returned for a sophomore season with the Gophers. This is another kick in the pills for the Arizona Coyotes. Your best prospect, the guy that's most likely to turn your team around, is not coming. He'd rather stay in college than come play at Mullet Arena in front of 4,500 people. More people will watch him at Minnesota than they will at the Mullet Arena, and that's a fact. That's not an opinion. Bigger stadium, both college rinks, by the way, which is funny. It's an interesting situation. He's a very good player. I think he'd be an NHL player next year on a bad team, but he is saying, no, let me go back to college. Boy, Arizona's in a bad way. They're in a bad way currently. I don't know. I don't blame Logan Cooley. Very well could be the right decision. He would have played for sure, but I just think there's a lot of uncertainty in Arizona, and he didn't want to jump into that pit, which totally fair. But Logan Cooley will remain in. Oh, that is a tough look. Oof. You can say, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with Arizona. It has everything to do with Arizona. It has everything to do with Arizona and just the way that they're doing their business currently, which has been poor from the get-go. But good luck. No real news, I'll say, about the Dubas front on why they're doing it. Nothing yet. So we'll wait for Brendan Shanahan. He'll talk this afternoon. We'll chat about it later, maybe even tomorrow, on the podcast. PGA Championship, Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. Interesting start to the tournament. It was an interesting day one. We're into day two here. Some groups are through their second round. There's some good stories on the course. Michael Block, a PGA pro that's kind of grinding it out, shoots even par. He's going to make the cut. That's a really good story. Through 2 rounds, Dustin Johnson is even par. He had a really good start yesterday. Double bogey on 18. He's plus 3 today. Patrick Cantlay shot 4 under today. He gets to even par. It's playing really difficult, the course. If you're not hitting the fairway, it's difficult. Even if you are hitting the fairway, it's tricky. It was fascinating yesterday because Rory McIlroy was out early. And I'm watching Rory, and he had a brutal start to the day. He was plus 4 at one point, slashing it around, throwing his clubs a little bit, and he battled. He battled on 12 out of the bunker shot to save par. Classic Rory McIlroy. That's what he does. He's one of the best bunker players in all of golf, just saving himself. And then he goes from plus 4, he gets down to plus 1. Not a great day, certainly, but he saved himself is what he did. He saved himself. He gave himself an opportunity to still be in the tournament. Justin Thomas, who started the day 1 under, finished plus 2 for the day after going 14 holes of just being 1 under. The last 4 got the best of him. So he had a frustrating day. Jordan Spieth. Jon Rahm, plus 6. He's out of it. The Masters winner, not in contention. Brooks Koepka was plus 2. The course is playing extremely tough. And finding the fairway, the middle of the fairway, and just being smart with your approaches is the way to go, because the rough is thick and the greens are extremely tricky. You can be on the green, you're putting, and somehow you 3-putt, you end up bogeying the hole. But you look at the leaderboard as we currently stand. Bryson Dechambeau's in the lead. He hasn't teed off yet for his second round. He shot 4 under yesterday to lead the tournament. He looked very comfortable. It's a Bryson DeChambeau. I call it Bryson DeChambeau 3.0 because he used to be at the Masters. He was really, really skinny. And before, obviously, used to be Mr. Protein Shake, huge guy. He's kind of in the middle now. He's got a normal body type. It makes sense. And he looked really comfortable, really confident playing yesterday. And he played extremely well. So Bryson was 4. I did not expect that. You have Scotty Scheffler, 3 under. No bogeys. To have a bogey-free day on that course was really, really impressive. He looked good. Corey Connors, the Canadian, 3 under. He always plays well at the first day of a major. Seems like he's in the mix. Ryan Fox, not well. Victor Hovland was 2 under. Keegan Bradley finished his round today. Another Canadian, Taylor Pendrith, he's 1 under. Shot 1 under for the round today. He's tied for 8th. He's in a good spot. Again, some of these big names haven't played yet today, but the way the course is playing, it's not easy. Like Patrick Cantlay's played the best day, 4 under. He's even par. And I think he's the best round on the golf course. Yeah, he is so far. He's the best round on the golf course. He's had the best day. Some guys have had brutal. Thomas Peters, who had a great day yesterday, shoots plus 6 today. He's out of it. Tom Kim, 5 over today. He's missing the cut. Brandon Todd misses the cut. Seamus Power is going to miss the cut. Who's high on the PGA list. Here's English is going to miss the cut. Cameron Young, another big name, misses the cut. Sammy Burns is missing that. He's plus 11 today. My God. No wonder they're not showing him on TV. Sungjae Im is going to miss the cut. My guy Sungjae. Matt Kuchar is going to miss the cut. Jason Day shot 6 over yesterday. He's going to have a good day. He has to find some success to make the cut. Bazudenhout. It's chewing through people. Plus 5. Phil Mickelson's plus 5 with Ricky Fowler. Tyrrell Hatton. They're going to need some luck to make the cut there. So it's playing difficult. Guys are struggling, and yeah, it's kind of just where we stand. It's interesting though. You see a guy like a Michael Block, a pro, Dustin Johnson, +3 today, but again, the fact that he's at even par is okay. And he'll be in position. Keith Mitchell, the visor, even par. Sepp Straka, even par. I don't expect Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty Scheffler to just chew this course apart this afternoon. I don't, because the way it's been playing, nobody has. Nobody has. And if you're not hitting your fairways and if you're not playing the course smart, and really these par threes, guys are getting in trouble because the roughs are incredibly hard to get out of, and they're missing the green, and they end up bogeying or in some cases double bogeying the hole. So the PGA Championship is not normally played like the U.S. Open. That's why it's gone so far. I mean, 4 under, not exactly a big score. I think it'll be a low-scoring winner of this event. It's supposed to warm up a bit throughout the weekend, not play quite as tough as it has. But then again, who knows? But Bryson DeChambeau currently has the lead. He's one of the last groups to tee off today, so he'll be out there this afternoon. Rory McIlroy is teeing off in a little while. Corey Connors as well. Keegan Bradley. So a lot of guys at the top of the leaderboard have not played yet today. We'll see what they can do and see if they can stay in contention and how they favor going into the weekend. French Open. That starts a week Monday, if you weren't up to date with tennis. Tennis comes and goes. You kind of forget about it for a while. And then the majors pop up and you start watching. Well, the French Open has been the place owned by one man primarily for almost 20 years. Rafa Nadal. In 19 years, Rafa has won the event 14 times. He owns clay. He's the king of clay. The best clay court tennis player ever. You could argue he's the best tennis player ever. But he's battled through injuries. He lost in the second round in Australia. He's battled foot injuries his whole career, and his body's starting to wear down. He plays such a physical brand of tennis, and it's starting to catch up with him. It was released in Spain on Wednesday, that he would not be playing at the French Open, but there's no confirmation yet. Well, via his social media yesterday, he confirmed for the first time in 19 years, due to his hip injury, he will not be participating at the French Open. Hasn't played in any clay court event this whole run. Didn't play at the Italian Open that's currently ongoing. Didn't play in Madrid. And he said his hip that he had surgery on hasn't been able to heal correctly. His foot is still bothering him. He may not play again this season. And he plans for next year to be his last year on tour and then to retire. It's another end of an era. Roger Federer recently retired. It was the right thing for him to do because he wasn't as good as he used to be. His body couldn't physically keep up anymore to the young guns, and he decided to hang them up. Rafa Nadal, again, he's battled through so much. He's gutted through events. Been so great at the French Open. And eventually, his hip, his foot, his knees, he is, signaling that he can't do it anymore. The pain's too much and the injuries have caught up with him. I'm stunned he's still playing. I remember 5 years ago, I thought his career was over because he couldn't move anymore. And I think he had a foot surgery that really helped for a while. And now he hurt it again. And it's not the same. But this was before Federer was starting to break. This was before COVID. I thought Nadal was done playing tennis because his body couldn't physically take the pounding anymore. But he battled through it. He played another couple really great years. He won multiple majors. And he surpassed Federer for the most Grand Slams, and he's battled with Djokovic ever since. I will always feel fortunate because I was born in an era where I got to see Djokovic, Federer, Nadal compete with one another. You could argue the three best tennis players of all time battling against one another for an extended period of time. And that's, it was fantastic. So many great matches between these three. So many moments where you think of all of them. But the French Open won't be the same for sure. I will say it makes it more competitive. Every year you just pencil in Rafa Nadal's winning at Roland Garros. And that's a testament to how his greatness that you can do that. You wouldn't do that with Federer at Wimbledon. You wouldn't do that with Djokovic in Australia. As many times as they won their respective events, nobody's won it 14 times. An event 14 times. That was Rafa and the French. It was going to happen. He was going to win it, and he did. Every year. And now it gives opportunity to guys like Daniil Medvedev, who's improved his clay court game. He's in the semifinals in the Italian Open tomorrow. Djokovic, obviously, this benefits a hell of a lot. Stefanos Tsitsipas, who was in the French Open final last year and lost it to Nadal. Holger Rune, youngster on the come-up who beat Novak Djokovic yesterday. Casper Ruud was in the French Open final last year. Tsitsipas was the year before. So Casper Ruud, a good clay court tennis player, has an opportunity. Sasha Zverev, Sinner, Rublev potentially. I mean, there's a lot of really good young tennis players. It gives them an opportunity to, but you still have Djokovic sitting there. I mean, obviously your mind goes to Djokovic is now the favorite to win, which he should be. More than Alcaraz or more than any of these other really good young tennis players, because Djokovic is still the best. And he's the best, in particular, at the French when Nadal's not present. So it's on these guys in the come-up, like Rudd, like Rune, like these guys. You can beat Djokovic at the Italian Open. It's an event. It matters. Ranking points, this, that, the other. But in these individual sports, let's talk about golf, we're talking about tennis now. It's about the majors and how you perform at them, and can you beat the best at these majors. And we'll give you an Italian Open, and it's a really good story, and we love it for you. But people remember major champions. Alcaraz won a U.S. Open. He has that. It's in his pocket. He'll have it forever. Dominic Thiem won a U.S. Open. He's got that. Juan Martín del Potro. These guys are all Grand Slam champions. We remember it because you won a major. Swiatek, Rybakina, these women that are finding ways to win. Yelena Ostapenko, who won a Grand Slam in Roland Garros at 16. She hasn't won a major since, but she's still a major champion. Bianca Andreescu won a major. His career's gone to shit. But you know what? She's still the only person to ever win a singles major from Canada. So she will be looked at and she'll be remembered like that fondly the rest of her life. You win a Stanley Cup, you will be introduced as Stanley Cup champion until the day they put your ass in the ground. There's a different ring to it. And that's what these individual sports. Who can find a way to break through? Who can find a way to win a major? Who can beat Novak Djokovic? That's the opportunity in front of you to beat one of the best tennis players to ever play the game. But with no Nadal, one side of the draw will be without him. Meaning, you hope you're not in Djokovic's draw and you can get to the final and maybe you deal with them then. You take your chances. Or something happens and he slips up because of the pressure, this, that, or the other, and he doesn't win. He doesn't get to the final and you have an opportunity to win a Grand Slam. Because the argument before, well, you won a Grand Slam but no Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer present, those days are coming to an end because guess what? They're not going to be around much longer. So when you win a major, you won a major in your generation. And the thing is, there's a lot of really good tennis players. There is. But I think we're looking at Serena Williams leaving, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Andy Murray to a lesser extent. Who is going to grab the mantle? Who's going to be the face of this next era? I don't know. I really don't, because nobody has done it yet. Nobody has told the world, I'm him. I'm her. This is my generation. Swiatek's great. But is she as good as... And that's the thing, too, that we have to program. Nobody's going to be as good as Serena Williams. Nobody's going to be as good as Djokovic. Nobody's going to be as good as Nadal. Nobody's going to be as good as Federer. So we might see just an open door of contenders. You win this one, and a person finished his career with 4, but there's 20 people with 1. The men's draw, that's how I see it going. I don't think anybody's consistent enough to be great. A lot of great, good players to win 3 to 4 majors in a year. To win 1 every year is tough enough. With the travel, and with the injuries, and with the wear and tear, can you do it? Medvedev's a really good tennis player. He's got 1. He's got 1 major. He's been in 3 major finals now. Won 1 of them. He's up 2 sets to love on Nadal in New York. Lost the match. So, a lot of really good, some great, but you're not on that special level. But that is fun. I'm glad that... I'm not happy these players aren't going to be around anymore, but I'm excited to see who is the next wave. You want to see that. Gretzky left. Jordan leaves. The sport goes on. Dan Marino, Tom Brady, these great quarterbacks. We got to worry. Our sport's in trouble. Your sport's not in trouble. Because you keep putting in new players. You keep putting in new talents. Somebody new for you to jump on the bandwagon and support. Somebody the tennis world loves and hates for multiple reasons is Nick Kyrgios. He was robbed a month ago, and he suffered some injuries in that process. He is out of the French Open. Now, it's unfortunate he was robbed. I love Nick Kyrgios. Some fans love him, some fans hate him. He'll never win a major. I love him. I think he's spectacular. I think he's entertaining. I love his way he presents himself on the court. He throws away all the tennis can get a little royal family-ish with they think they're better than everybody else and their rules and this, that, and the other. He spits in the face of all of that junk. And I love him for that. He's not playing at the French. He hates playing on clay. He's mentioned that before. So I'm not so sure this is it. This could just be, I'm going to sit out the clay court season. I'll be back for Wimbledon, his favorite event, the event he has the best chance of winning. The only major he's been to a Grand Slam final. So it could be 2 truths and a lie there. Sure, he might have an injury, but also he wants to be prepped for Wimbledon. Make sure he's at 100%, so he's an opportunity to win that major where, in all likelihood, Rafa Nadal won't be playing there either. A multiple-time champion. Oh, it's Friday. Long weekend. I do plan on podcasting this weekend because I want to react to the Shanahan sound for you guys. Talk about that a little bit. And talk about the game tonight and some NBA stuff. So that is on the docket coming up here. So that's forthcoming. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy the long weekend. And we'll talk to you soon. I'm Noah Warren, and this is To The Point.